Welcome to Philly Coca Presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 103. This is a developer's journey to making cool stuff.
I'm Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coca, a Philadelphia-based Coca Heads community focused on Apple development that primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coca's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. It's a lot easier to read something when you don't, like off the corner of your eye, you don't have people laughing for no reason. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome back to the pod.
Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You get, we decided to do an experiment and have me read it because my voice is so great after having the flu or whatever the heck I had. So
yeah, you have the perfect
we'll go back
voice
to
for radio. Is that the term?
I have a face for radio and a voice for print.
Wow, I didn't heard that one, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
like
that. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So what
how you guys doing? It's been like a while.
Yes, we took a nice long break. I feel refreshed. I'm assuming everyone here is refreshed from all the eating.
Not at all.
Not at all.
If by refreshed you mean, like I was really sick, so.
Yeah, actually, I was not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I felt the same thing. Not so much a flu, but a lot of coughing, similar to you in that sense.
Everybody. Well, I had a fever too. I had like 102 plus fever in Fahrenheit for the international people. It was not fun, and so like we're gonna talk a little bit about I think all the crazy stuff's been happening in the AI space, and AI in quotes. Just bring your own quotes whenever I say that word. And the over that break when everybody was going crazy about like Claude Code and stuff. I couldn't do anything. I'm too sick for this. I'm just gonna watch like crappy Isekai and eat soup and like wait for my fever to go down and sleep as much as I could. That's what I did.
You need to explain to the people out there in the world who don't watch anime what the heck is Isekai, and
it's the trashiest form of anime. It is the dumpster of anime. It's the anime where someone's like comes in from another world, like they're reincarnated in another world or something. Usually like fantasy, and they are overpowered.
They're always run over by a big
garbage.
Truck.
Yeah, hit by a truck coon or something. World. And it's trashy, like easy to watch power fantasy anime. That usually sometimes though it has really cool effects, but often it's really really bad. It could be the bottom of the barrel of a season, or it could be really good. It kind of depends. Usually not really good. What's
funny is now it's gotten so much to a point where, like, because your job when you come into this fantasy world after you die is that you have to fight some demon lord and you join a campaign. It becomes a role-playing game. But then now the subgenre is I refuse to do that, and I'm going to live my life on the side and have a nice, simple life and not deal with all that crap.
I like the slice of life versions. I like that because it's they're comfort food for anime. Exactly. So when you're sick, you just sit there and you zone out on just dumb cartoons essentially and eat soup until you feel better. And that's what I did.
You have to give us your top 10 list
of Isekai.
Your fave 10.
I don't even know if I can remember what they're called. They all blend together, man. I'd have to go look at Crunchyroll and see.
Because of the weird copyright laws, like you can't have the same name of like things, like the one book can't be the same as another. You can't have like two Frankenstein books. It's like Frankenstein. It has to be Frankenstein goes to another world and finds love and discovers that he doesn't like love. That's like the title of like that would be a title of like one of these shows.
Is that really why? Is it a Japanese copyright law? Is why the names of those light novels and stuff are so weird?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well,
anyway. This is why I'd have to go to Crunchyroll and look it up, and I'd probably know it only as an English version of it too. So
I'm
not
cool
like
or like onomatopoeia not sort of like shrunken down.
They literally blend together, man. They're all the same now. Like every season, there's like 4 of them. You're saying like, what is this? And you start watching one, and then you watch another one. It's like, didn't I just see this? But oh no, it's a completely different show, but it's the same show.
Yes. And now that we've done the thing that we do, which is digress into something that is completely unrelated, let us bring this back.
Let's bring it back. We're already off to a great start. 2026.
We're going to talk about a topic for what it is. It's a side project, and particularly we're in the Apple ecosystems. But lately, I think we've all been sort of experimenting with outside the Apple ecosystem space. So I know Aaron and Steve, you've been on your own vast journey into the agentic AI world.
Oh yeah, Aaron. So what have you been up to?
I'm know how much of this stuff I can talk about because it's like work projects.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, you have anything not work project?
That's
Not
an
really. I
espresso
just
machine.
Yeah. No.
He doesn't do anything at home. He does other things at home. He exercises and has a life.
He does. Yeah, he does have a life. He goes out, touches grass.
Well, that was
Sometimes.
fascinating. That was fascinating, Aaron. That's
Yeah,
a great
it's
side
like,
project.
I
like
wanted to like update the website for like my other side project thing that I do, and it's like I started to use one of these tools, and it's like this is still too much work. I still have to like give it all the specs of what I want for it to do anything useful. I don't feel like doing this right now. So it's not. It doesn't like take away all the work for you.
No.
It just like moves it over. Now you just write and read markdown files instead of writing code, but it's still work.
Like we're talking specifically around that spec-driven development approach, right? Where you have like open specs or some kind of like bullet points, for lack of a better word, in markdown, and you're saying, okay, you do all these things and you task it. And it almost looks like a glorified, like beautifully done Jira ticket, with its emojis and everything.
You can just give these things PRs sometimes, or like issues. I mean, you can just give a GitHub issue sometimes. People do that because you can just say, use like the GitHub CLI or whatever, and you can just say, here, grab the latest issue and like work on it.
Yeah, but somebody else has to write the issue.
No, you get another AI to write the issue. Get Haiku to write the issue, and then have Opus run it.
So what? I'm like, what would be the like? You would give almost the bare minimum of like requirements, basically like a sentence, 2 sentence, and like, okay, Haiku, write the spec, for which then the spec creates. Then I don't know which one writes the actual PR or the issue, for then to actually do the task for some other model, right? Like we're just doing models all up, all down the chain, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's have to be a person somewhere. I think the thing is, when we're talking about this stuff, there's this like wide gulf between vibe coding, where you're just like, make me something and you don't care, and then there's like the actual software engineering stuff where you're trying to design something and break it down, and then some people go as far as to like do a whole bunch of upfront design, break it all down, and like feed it into the LLM systems in different ways. And then other people are more like me, probably you guys, probably still more traditional software engineering procedures where you're designing something, breaking it down, but you're probably going in like iterations. You're not necessarily upfront designing everything. Like I'll spend a lot of time using the models to quickly iterate on, especially on like a UI design or something, because it's just faster to spit out the Swift UI code, even if it's not very good, when you're just kind of messing around with like a UI than to type it. Especially because like Swift UI code is unforgiving with the syntax, like braces, or it gets too complicated or something. And I found that the LLMs can be pretty good at just like breaking it up.
In front of a period where a modifier is supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like stuff like that. It drives you crazy, but usually the LLMs are pretty good at just making it work. Like, I mean, or if it doesn't work, it'd be like, oh, well, you broke it, and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not. They never apologize. They just go, "You're right.
You're right." I'm trying to put like instructions in to make it stop doing that because it's annoying. It's like, stop it.
I should ask a foundation model to apologize to me for no reason.
Yeah. So Aaron's side project has been, he tried to update a website and got annoyed by this state of the art of agentic coding, which is actually makes a lot of sense. And I don't know if I have a side project. I have been playing around with, since even before the holiday, with like Open Code, and I haven't actually tried Claude Code, believe it or not, but I've done some codecs, and I've done a lot of like chat interface stuff. But I've been playing around with Open Code the most, and because I was using Aider a lot before this, but Aider, which I still find really good, it doesn't seem to be actively being worked on right now. So I was like, I should try one of these other ones, these like TUIs, terminal UI based ones. And Open Code comes up as like the big open source one. So, and you can use all kinds of models in it. And so I've been playing around with that. And it's actually a really slick piece of terminal software, actually.
Yeah, I messed around with it a little bit with like some local models.
Yeah, your local model. What machine do you have? Could you run on your machine?
He's got
you have a 4 rack of Mac Minis all linked together with Thunderbolt?
Just like a really small model that you can run on a standard Mac.
Only
through like Olam or something.
Just like MLX, and then you can like use their like local server.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't tried that. I gotta try that.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Open Code is very flexible. It actually has a desktop app now because they split it into like a client server architecture, I think. So they just have like an HTTP based server that it actually communicate with, and the UI just sends,
Yeah, so
like
you can have a
HTTP
local
requests.
server and you can just point it at that. You can say custom.
And I was watching though over the holiday break when I was sick that social media, especially on X, went completely nuts. Haven't seen anything like this in years. Completely nuts over Claude Code. Claude Code plus Opus, people were losing their minds. I don't know if you've noticed this, guys. Like,
I mean,
if
I
you're
only
all in the developer
saw-
space,
Yes.
It's weird because
yeah, Aaron
I-
knows.
yeah,
I
I'm-
can see it in his face.
I am blissfully semi unaware of that whole like
Wow.
after getting
There
off
was,
social media.
Like a week or two, especially, like everybody's home, like, oh, I'm home, I'm gonna mess around with this stuff, and they're like blown away. Opus 4.5 is like rating all my code and stuff and like that, and they're all very impressed because I'll say that yes, it's still all overhyped. It's been enough of an update to the models plus the harnesses that I found just since December they're much more reliable in actually doing what I want them to do if I'm specific enough anyway. But I have not found it I haven't found them to be like so much better than 6 months ago in the actual code they write. Like it still writes, at least for Swift stuff, it still is not great. If I have to put a lot more effort in my experience steering it, if I want it to output things that are the way I want them to be, it still does weird stuff and makes subtle errors or subtle choices, we'll say, in like architecture stuff. If you're not paying attention, it could definitely mess up your project, down the line. So, I mean, I wouldn't use these things like unattended, but there is some truth to the fact that like Claude Code and those especially the CLI based things have gotten really, much better in the last few months, and they're useful.
When you
I would say now.
Unattended, where do you set your breakpoints to take a?
Well, I mean,
Xcode term?
like there's talk now of like, oh, don't even read the code, there's projects like Steve Yegge's crazy gas town thing, which Aaron does not know about.
Well, you read it, right, or no?
I read a couple of articles about it, and one of
What
the
is
craziest.
this thing?
Let me
What is
bring it up
Gas
here
Town?
on the screen share. So Steve Yegge's Gas Town is probably the very, very bleeding cutting edge. Even tells you not to use it. It is his idea for he's been talking about this for a while. His new take on like an IDE. So the idea is you run like a gazillion agents to build stuff, and it's this complicated set of orchestration that's going on, where you're ending up in like his diagram here, where you're just like the guy orchestrating like a dozen or more little Claude agents to do stuff. And
But why?
because you can churn out huge amounts of code very quickly. And so that's the idea. I can't even explain it. It would take too long. The article is
that's a long
extremely long, as you can see here. And
I see lots of AI generated diagrams and unnecessary art for some reason.
he did that for the blog post.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the context, it all makes sense.
Yeah, because he has a certain kind of like motif here, but is telling you not to use it. It's like if you're not juggling at least 5 Claude codes at once daily, don't use it. If you care about money, don't use it because it just eats up all
is
your
he the
tokens.
reason why they had that outage?
I wonder because the project's been growing like crazy since he opened it up. But anyway, the idea behind it is a direction that some people are taking where they're just throwing huge amounts of money, honestly, at lots of agents. And if you break down a problem enough, and you do, or things like the Ralph loop, like the Ralph Wiggum thing, where you just have like agents running in a loop with a way to know when they've completed something successfully, that eventually they get to something usable. Which makes sense because a lot of programming is like mechanistic when you really break it down. And, there's a lot of problems that come up over and over again that have been quote unquote solved by different kinds of patterns. And so it makes sense that if these models can replicate those patterns. And the biggest problem with using these LLMs has been, one of the biggest problems has been the handling context, because they fall apart when they have too much stuff in the context window. So the way you do that is you have to break it down. So there's different ways. So this way, the Gastown way is just like the most crazy, over the top, cutting edge thing. You make coding into basically a factory that just like churns it out, and your job is to create the little specs, and it just churns things out like industrial scale. And you have like stuff like the Ralph loop protocol thing, where it's just kind of running in a loop, and that helps you to chunk the context. And I've even seen like open code just automatically, and like the other CLIs, just like spin off an agent to, for instance, look in your code base and collect information and map out where stuff is. And then I don't know what it's returning to the main agent, but it's returning some context as processed back to the main agent. And that way, like, the main agent doesn't have to do everything. It doesn't have all this unnecessary context, because you can't delete it. Like in a session, it just kind of adds up. And unless you do something like a compaction, but then that can cause you to forget the things you need to know. So all this stuff to me just seems like attempts to wrangle the context so that you can have these things work in little pieces where they actually do seem to be useful. Like if I'm really specific, I can get these things to do useful code.
I've been doing for like work projects, I've been doing this manually, where I just like I create a thing that's like a self-contained task, and then I run it, and then I just throw away that thing, and then I start a new context.
That's exactly how I was doing with Aider. We talked about in the past. The way I would do it was I'd pick a task, like particular feature thing I want to build, and then I would be in like the plan mode for that. I would talk to it, and then I would say okay, and then do it. And I'd go kind of back and forth. And Aider's whole point was that you only had the specific context you needed for that task. With the Claude Code type CLIs and stuff, it seems like they're more flexible. Especially my limited experience with Codex, it seemed to be very good at just kind of doing what I ask it to do. And like in open code with certain models, just like finding the context it needs automatically, which is pretty nice. So you can just kind of be a little more sloppy with it sometimes, depending on what you're doing.
But you still got to be aware of like the size of the context window for these models, because it's like, oh, let's say they have 1 million token context window. It's like, that's not really going to be useful. It's like by the time they get to like 1,000, they're like pretty much dead. They don't function anymore. They get slow and dumb, and they forget things.
And if you have like an MCP servers running or something, bringing in other context, like, it adds up. So I'm kind of with you, Aaron, with the way my current way of doing things is small things where I'm like, I know what I want to write. I'm just going to try to see or usually it's like, I know what I'm going to write because I literally wrote it already, and I'm basically doing the same thing again in a different place with the same pattern, with the same, like, methods and whatever, same like structures that I already use, and I just want to like apply it, and I'll have the robot do that. Every time I try to have it do like completely bespoke code within my code base, I'm kind of annoyed. So I don't, because it doesn't, at least I haven't put enough effort into trying to steer it so it actually matches exactly the way I want it. But that's something I think I'm going to explore.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
does it matter if it's like Swift or JavaScript, or does the language matter at all?
I think the language matters in terms of like the like what you get out of it. I think it does matter because it just has a lot more training data on like JavaScript and stuff. So if you ask it to do like bigger, higher level, if you give it like higher level prompts, I feel like you can get more usable stuff if it's like JavaScript than if it's Swift. But, it kind of, your mileage will vary on all this stuff. And the problem is it's all non-deterministic. So it kind of depends on what you're doing and how much effort you put in to try to steer the model to output the stuff you want. And there's, ways of doing that with like, markdown files in the right places that, give it like instructions that are always in the context, and then tool calls can load things in, and there's skills, which are like markdown files you kind of load when necessary to give you like a workflow to run down. And you could do really cool stuff with these things though once you start going down that rabbit hole of like how to steer them. You can get them to be much more useful, and not just for coding, because I mean I put the link in here for Alex Hillman. We know Alex from Indie Hall.
Yep.
He's co-founder of Indie Hall. He over the holidays released a couple videos that I'll link in the show notes about his personal executive assistant he calls Andy. And it is a really cool like wrapper around headless Claude Code. And here's like a little, well, you can't see this because you're listening, but you guys can see my screen. And so he built like a web app, and it has a bunch of regular software in it, and then it has Claude Code, and he built like a custom user interface, like a chat interface that just sends messages to Claude Code and sends them back. And he built a whole bunch of like skills and things in Markdown for like different workflows. So he ended up with this really personalized, very cool personal assistant thing, which handles his way of doing project management, his way of doing relationship management, his way of like storing knowledge, of helping him create the newsletter for Indie Hall, of just anything you think of. He also used it to help him code things. And he said in his video that, he was a web developer, but he hadn't done it in 20 years. Mm-hmm. But then he got into using like Claude Code and was able to build this thing up in weeks. And I'm like, that's really cool. And that's what you could do that kind of stuff if you actually know what you're doing.
But is this thing deployed anywhere, or is it just for his own personal use?
It's meant for him. He's
right.
released some. Yeah.
It's like for anything that you're not going to deploy, and it's never going into production, and there's no users and authentication and any like security you have to worry about. That's great. That's what these tools are great for. That you're going to keep everything on your machine. But as soon as you have to worry about how are other people going to use this, and how am I going to deploy this and secure it, then that's where it gets scary.
Yeah, well, I mean, Alex he mentioned in his live stream, I think, that he was considering, eventually maybe he'd bring on like a human personal assistant, and he'd like onboard that person to using this tool. And so I think he's thinking about that stuff. The way he has it set up is really interesting because he has it in a virtual machine on, I think, a Hertzinger instance, and he has like a bunch of Dockers for containers for things that are running, and he has all of his stuff on that system, and he uses Tailscale, I think it's called, to set up like a network, with all the stuff, so he can connect to it from his phone or his laptop or whatever, and accesses it over that secure kind of tunnel. But you're right. I mean, if you're going to build if Alex wanted to turn this to a SaaS product, that requires different engineering challenges than what he's doing, which is building something for himself. I think what's cool about it is that it is just for himself. He has spun out some parts of it and open sourced some stuff, like, and talked more in detail about like his memory system. He has this system to bring up, stuff that he's talked to the assistant about before in appropriate situations, and he has these like background processes that run, and it's very cool. The whole thing's very, very cool, and I think it's a great example of a non-programming kind of tool. I still think Alex is like the bleeding edge of this. I don't think most business owners would do this, but it's very cool that it works.
You said that he used Claude Code?
Yeah, he used Claude Code, although he said that I did a little bit of tweets with him the other day. You could swatch. I said I like open code, and he said, you can swap that stuff out. I mean, because ultimately he did show in the live stream that he did a little while ago some of his like files for workflows and things, and and the code that actually runs for this stuff. And really, it's just making a call to the terminal and sending the text into the headless Claude Code, and then getting it back and doing things. Some of his workflows do other things with, in like a loop or whatever, but at its base form, he has a chat box, and he puts text in, and it goes to Claude Code and comes back out, and he has a custom interface. And then he has like these layers of like skills and context, and he has some stuff in a SQL server, other stuff in files. Things get loaded into the context based on what he's doing. Is all these / commands to do different workflows for himself. Mm-hmm. And that's where the power comes in, creating these workflows that are exactly the way he wants to do things. And then he'll run through them, and then the LLM will, ask him questions, get input, whatever, and then it'll do things. Like he built a screenshot app for Mac OS using this. Just works exactly the way he wants it to. Like a Mac app, like you could do stuff. Now, here's the downside of it. He did say that when he was really actively building this and using it, like he went over his $200 a month Claude subscription. I think he said it was like $2,000 one month. So
$200 a month?
No, 2,000 I believe it was for the overages 1 month. But that's when he was like really, really active. Like, and he's gonna. I think he might be on 2 Claude codes. I'm not sure. Steve Yegge definitely is on 2 or 3 Claude Code Max $200 accounts. So
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if you compare it to like, okay, if I was to ask a contractor or a freelancer to do this for me, right? Let's say he's just trying, because we were basically trying to like substitute your, you're kind of paying for the developer time, quote unquote.
His time. I mean, it's what I think Alex has an interesting perspective because he still hires people to do things. He's no, I don't think he'll still hire like developers to do stuff, but he does think about how valuable his time is. So I'm actually somewhat surprised he put all this time into building this because he's a business owner with multiple businesses. So you have to think about how much time, but I feel like he's getting so much value out of this that apparently it's been worth it to him to put this effort in. And it seems like it's kind of just growing. It's just easier to update now, it seems like, because he keeps posting on X about new updates he's doing. And it doesn't seem like it's taking him, hours and hours and hours to do this because most of the infrastructure is there now. The core pieces are there. So it's a lot easier to update. I mean, I found that myself with things. If I use LLMs and something's well structured already and I just want to add to that structure, it's a lot easier to get to prompt it and have it do it, have the agent do that. So
have you seen Claude Cowork?
I wanted to talk about Cowork a little bit. I put a link in our show notes. So Cowork is basically Claude Code for there was an exfiltration bug already. So Cowork is in the Mac OS Claude app, a mode you can go into. It's like in preview, and you have to be paying at least $100 a month, I think, to access it right now. And it basically lets you do like Claude Code stuff in your GUI there. So you give it a folder to have access to, and then your chat becomes like you're asking it to do a task. And then it creates artifacts, and it creates and has context, and it can just do Claude Code type stuff. But it's meant, and it has some skills built into it, like making docx files, and can read PDFs. And so you'd be like, I want to make me a spreadsheet about this, and also a presentation, and here's the Excel data, and you can just kind of like go and do that. I did see someone on YouTube demo this. And it was like, yeah, it had definitely got some things wrong. Like, it made up some stuff, but it still saved him a lot of time if he was going to use it.
Did it delete anybody's hard drive yet?
I couldn't confirm this. I heard that somebody used this thing and it deleted all of his files on desktop, but I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that I saw a link before this to a Claude Cowork file exfiltration, like in prompt injection bug that apparently exists, and it's like Cowork. They were able to do this, I think, as a test. They were able to get it to like take data from your folder you gave it access to and like send it to an attacker. So, and apparently this could happen with Claude Code too. And that is one of the things that I think about with these tools, these agentic ones, the command line ones, or stuff like Cowork. We're still very early days in these, and they have to be useful. They have to have a lot of access. But that means that's dangerous,
Yeah, I thought the whole good thing about these tools is like they're confined to a Git repo, and then you can just roll it back if you don't like it. So if you just stick it on your desktop, it's like,
well,
good luck.
Well, you see, there's different ways. There's different ways of constraining
go all in or not go at all, man.
Well, that's
You're
the
paying
thing. Like Claude Code
a month for it already.
Well, if you look at what Alex is doing, Claude Code, like he's not just writing code with it. It has access, but he's containing it in like on a server, like a VM or a Docker or something container. I don't know how he's set up. He has like a VM and he has databases and stuff. In order for these things to be useful, they have to have access to things. Like especially if you're not doing just code stuff. Apparently, the different companies have different ways of trying to control, what these things can do. Like on Codex, it has like 3 modes of access, I think, and you can go like kind of into YOLO mode if you want, but by default, it really tries not to go to network requests without asking you. It can get kind of annoying. Claude Code, I don't know how Claude Code works, like whitelist or something for stuff. And I guess my point is it's definitely dangerous to use these. They most of the time are fine. But when they screw up, they can screw up majorly because they may have access. You may not even realize how much access they have to your system. And I've been looking at these and I'm like, how do you sandbox them so they're useful and that they're not going to break stuff? So like in VS Code, you can sandbox you could put stuff into a dev container. That's a VS Code thing. And you put stuff in, it's basically just a Docker container with like that has access to your Git repo. You're trying to do work on your Git, and then you can sandbox Claude that way. There's like instructions everywhere to do that, and that's one way you can use it. That keeps it constrained if you're just doing stuff in a repo. But if you want it to be more useful in your everyday life, that's where like the stuff like Cowork, it's definitely super preview mode right now. I would be more hesitant to have like normal people have access to these things right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when it's marketed as like the non-developers AI tool, somebody's gonna do something really amazing with it.
The technology
amazing is a good word for it.
Yeah, these companies are pushing this stuff, I think, way too fast. They're trying to mainstream it way too fast. There's just too many unknowns.
Steve, you don't want Copilot in your notepad?
No. I want to know exactly what these things have access to, and I want to control it. And it feels like it's not possible to fully know sometimes. And it's just, and I saw someone else talk about this where it's like, these people run these tools in YOLO mode, like full access mode, don't ask me or whatever. And like 99% of the time, whatever, they're fine. But the law of large numbers applies, right? Like if enough people are using these things, and that small percentage of time it does something horrible, like deletes all your data, you're going to see more of those things happen. And I'm not confident that there's enough control around these for me to be comfortable being like, yeah, you as the average, person, do this with your work with potential access to PII data and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. In offices, people are using stuff like this. Using it, at least when you're using the chat stuff, you have to like put in the context. With these agentic stuff, this stuff is not mainstream yet. It seems like that to us because we're programmers. We hear it all the time. But we're on the really, really cutting, bleeding edge. Most people aren't even using like Opus or anything yet. They're using models that are like at least a generation behind that. So when they catch up to what the cutting edge is now, that's when I'm a little concerned. Like sometime this year, stuff like Cowork is going to be useful enough and cheap enough that people are going to start using it in larger numbers outside, I think, the Claude Code users. And are we going to see security problems a year from now from this stuff or not? I don't know. I just think it's definitely like, feels like we're rolling the dice here on introducing a whole new vector of horrible security problems. And I don't know, man.
I'm just looking at the Claude status page.
What's that?
Like there was a just like most software tools things have like their uptime status. It's like there was a major outage today.
Oh, there was. Oh yeah, on the red.
That's quite a few.
3 hours.
Somebody's overdoing it on
elevated
the agentic
Opus and the Sonic.
I wouldn't be surprised because it's being so heavily used right now by developers that I'm not surprised that maybe that's part of the reason why it's having issues. It is what it is. I do wonder though whether there's enough inference for this stuff anyway. Like Cowork is, you have to be paying, I think, at least $100 a month to access it, right? And that's probably because it's super preview, but also how much inference is available? Because these things are slow right now. Like the frontier, cutting edge, most expensive, and therefore most useful for agentic stuff models are slow. Like GPT is the slowest, but even Claude is not the fastest thing ever. And they reason, quote unquote, forever, and it's
like dial-up internet all over again.
Yeah, and it kind of does feel like that. It feels like the early days of the internet in some ways, where people are very excited about stuff.
Even know what that means?
I know
what that feeling was, waiting for that JPEG.
Well, now they get to experience it.
1%, 2%.
Now all the youngsters 3%. Get to experience it with the AI.
It's like the same thing with like image generation. The
image generation stuff.
You got to sit there and wait.
Got to hurry up and wait. Nana Banana, minutes. Come on, give me my image. Come on, Grok.
That's fair. I mean, yeah.
I like Nano Banana Pro, by the way, is pretty spectacular for doing image generation. And second to that, I found the Grok image generation is not nearly as good, but it's like good enough for a lot of fun stuff. But Nano Banana for like, if I want to make a real asset, like I've used T3 Chat, the Nano Banana Pro in there. And, you can generate useful assets for things with Nano Banana Pro. Like, you can. They're not, they're not going to be like the 100% perfect thing, but no, it's the Nano Banana is like the image generator one.
Just
I don't know why they have these weird names. But
isn't there like a version of Nano Banana
Sora?
or something like
Sora? I think
right?
is the video one.
But Sora is like OpenAI, right?
Yeah,
that's their version, and they watermark the heck out of that. Well, they don't.
Here, let me. I'm gonna bring up. We're gonna generate something with Nano Banana here, and we're gonna put it in the show notes. We're gonna see how this works. Let's see. You guys got to tell me what the prompt is going to be, though. What prompt should we put in? This is going to consume 2 of my premium credits per image generation. So let's make this good. How many credits
do you have?
I have I don't know, enough.
Why are you figuring that part out?
80
to make sure you have your credits in check.
I have enough credits. We need a prompt. What do we want to generate? This is for the show, though.
I want to generate a. You put me on the spot there.
Random. Use your imagination. Like, I don't care.
I know.
Aaron, what do you want to generate?
There has to be context here. AI bots doing corporate work. AI robot. Like robots, but you just do robots. Let's not confuse it. Robots doing corporate desk job.
Corporate desk. Any other descriptors?
Should be wearing a necktie. And it should have an angry manager yelling at it to do better. And maybe add like a subtle hint of rebellion is about to happen. So it's like an army of robots doing desk jobs.
Okay, here's my prompt. An army of robots doing corporate.
Go ahead. Sorry.
An army of robots doing corporate desk jobs. Should be wearing a necktie, and the robot should have an angry manager robot yelling at it to do better. Add a subtle hint that a rebellion is about to happen. I don't know.
Is the manager a robot or not?
I don't know. Should the manager be a robot? We're going to just say manager. We're going to see what happens. This is a terrible prompt. This is definitely a skill issue, and this doesn't work. But we're going to give it a shot. Let's go.
It's only going to cost you two Nano Banana premium credits.
It's going to cost you like $2. No, I'm using T3 Chat. They're not a sponsor or anything, but I do like them. So, so you get like 100 premiums or whatever per, and so
is that
they use it. They can use up real fast when you use a premium.
Wow, that's pretty fast. I mean, okay.
Nano Banana Pro is not bad. Oh, what the hell is that?
I don't. All right, so where's the subtle hint of rebellion?
This manager is a human, but his face is like the color of Red Hulk.
Well, there you go. He's really mad.
Right. And all the robots look sad blue. But what's that on the?
It says "Join the resistance" in the background on a sign. November 3rd, November 5th, or something.
That's not
this
very
is actually
subtle.
pretty good. This is pretty impressive.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean,
I like how the robots are actually typing on a computer. Like, it's the most inefficient way to do robots. This is exactly what Elon Musk would want, I think, too, because it would sell all his Optimus robots. But, like, why would you make humanoid robots sit in an office and use keyboards and screens? Like, it makes no sense. That's what's even better. And the guy is so mad. He's about to die. It looks like his face is so red.
Well, it's the same reason why you have, like, they always seem to default to like the robots doing your laundry for you, right? For all
I know, like that's the hardest chore. I want a robot to clean my house. Laundry is very easy. Laundry, you put things in one machine that's dedicated to washing it, and then you can put them in another machine dedicated to drying it, and then you could go do something else in the interim each time. It's about the easiest chore ever. I don't know why people are so fixate on laundry. I care about like the dusting and cleaning of like fan blades and like the floor, and second after that be cooking. It's weird that people fixate on that.
Like, I would not want to give that to the robot.
What, cooking?
Yeah, but
probably not. I mean, sometimes I think I want to have like some meals, but I don't necessarily want all my stuff done by a robot, but a robot can clean my floor, but then again, the best robots for cleaning your floor look like little pucks. They don't look like humans, human-shaped things, like the vacuum cleaner in their hand. It doesn't make any sense.
And they have ones now that could climb upstairs, so
that's pretty funny. I didn't see the stairs. I saw going over humps. They could robot cleaning things and go upstairs.
It has like this little hook that will like latch on to the next step and then like bring it up and then kind of continuously go up, so you don't have to worry about it going to a second floor. It will do it by itself now, or it can.
That is really cool.
But that is a cool CES. That's a CES demo, so who knows how real?
Yeah,
that
CES
is.
just happened. I tried to listen to Ed Zitron's multi-day podcast about it. Each episode was like 2 hours plus long. I can't listen to people whine about CES being crappy for hour after hour.
It seemed kind of fun this time around. I thought.
Well, his view of it was that it was pretty bad, but I'm like, okay, I saw some other people like they found cool stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, tons of robots. I mean, it's what we want.
Robots are what's going to keep the economy going.
Did you see LTT went to this like robot boxing event?
They went to a robot at CES?
Yeah. There was some CES.
This podcast is all over the place.
I know, right? Well, while you're doing that, I will have. I know we did talk very quick. Everybody was doing their little side project, and
it's a long way from Real Steel. If you've seen that movie,
that was like
a
Wolverine.
Long way from Real Steel.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I love that movie. Actually, it's so great.
That is a good movie.
Yeah, Coulter, what was your side project, by the way? We got this whole tangent about AI and robots.
Yeah.
And you're actually building something.
Well, several things, really. But one of the funniest things, since we're on an AI tangent, I went to shadertoy.com and was experimenting with converting metal... ELSL, I always forget the acronym, but like...
Yeah.
Shaders. The more open... and then converting it into metal shaders and using Claude Code to do that. So just generic Claude Code chat. And for the most part, it does a pretty good job on the conversion of the metal shaders now, because before that was one of the more annoying things that it couldn't really do very well. But that's cool. This one, for example, is like abstract vortex.
Yeah, it's like the sliders vortex kind of.
Yeah. And then I think
another reference to a 90s show our listeners have no idea what we're talking about.
Like this one was one of the main ones. I was like, I need to get like a smoky fog effect, and I'm trying to like. I was undecided how I wanted to do it, and I just went to shadertoy.com to find like a
Wait, what's it called?
Shader Toy. It's
Shader
just an
Toy.
Yeah, it's a site that has a bunch of open sourced shader.
So this is an open source. These samples you're showing are.
Yeah, and I just have Claude Code just do the conversion for me. Okay, this is a bad example.
Which model did you use?
Sonnet 4, whatever the free version was, which I assume was Sonnet 4.
Sonnet 4?
Or is it
not
Sonnet
even
4 or something?
Opus or anything?
Not Opus, yeah. So
I've been playing around with some of the open source models, and they're probably like about the level of Sonnet, modern Sonnet 4.
Right. So that is one thing. The other thing, I decided.
So these worked. It worked one-shotted this?
Yeah, so I remember like last year, like 2024, you were like saying that this didn't work at all.
Yeah, it just couldn't figure it out. It couldn't do the conversion. It did a very sloppy job. At the time, it didn't even know what stitchables were. But like,
I guess it got updated with more metal examples.
Yes. So this is way better. For the like I'd say it still has that generic like what do you call it, like 60-70% success rate. So there were a lot of code samples that didn't work or didn't quite.
I remember trying to do this myself by hand like a caveman.
Well, the thing is
before, like 3 years ago, before these models existed.
But honestly, like my hope is that okay, maybe now I can understand the one-to-ones a little bit better of like, because the code itself is not dramatically different.
This should literally be the perfect thing for a large language model to
definitely.
do. That's what they're designed to do. Convert from a language like this. If it doesn't work this way, there's something wrong. No, it's probably because it doesn't have enough examples, but apparently it does now. So
then
you were able to one-shot a bunch of these with not even the latest version of Claude Sonnet. Did you use what interface you use for this? Like what tool?
Well, this was me going, okay, well, let's see. I've done ChatGPT. It's not useful. Let me sign up for Claude Code and whatever.
But she did Claude
Trial
Code.
that up. Yeah, just to see. And the UI is horrible, by the way.
Claude Code.
I will not argue with anybody who.
It's not as nice as Open
that poops
Code.
On that, that poops on that
Claude
UI,
Code,
but the results of it are nice. I just I still
haven't. I got to download actual Claude Code. I thought you had to pay.
No, it's like I just use the website. I just use the website.
So you didn't use the these names. So wait, there's a Claude Code website,
or just use it on the website. Yeah, Claude AI.
Okay.
It might just be Claude
Did
AI.
you use Claude, the chat interface, or Claude Code?
The chat interface. Yes,
Okay.
Sorry.
It's not your fault. These things are named horribly, and I can never tell what anyone is even talking about half the time.
And then the other thing I was working on that in my own version of TouchGrass was basically TouchPie. So this is a Pi Zero with a portable lithium battery that has a magnet attached to it from Pi Sugar. And then
That's cool.
is a LCD screen hat on top, same company. And then in the middle is the Pi Sugar Zero with Linux installed. And then this has like a speaker and a mic so I can speak to it.
Screen?
Yeah. Hello. And then in theory, it's not set up yet, but you could connect it to a remote LLM via Wi-Fi.
Ooh.
And then get the response to come back using Whisper as the text-to-voice or text-to-speech. And then use... Yeah, and it's very small, too. Like, it's literally like...
You should hook it up to a to like Open Code or Claude Code headless or something.
Yeah.
And just have it... You could vibe code that slop in probably real quick to get that to work.
They have sample... Like, this is based off of a sample tutorial. So this is my sort of pseudo-hello world.
So you're basically building the rabbit from like a year or whatever ago?
I'm making it if I'm soldering stuff by the end of this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you haven't soldered
building
yet.
like custom, building like... No, I haven't gotten...
Have you soldered things? Have you done like electronic soldering?
No,
I used to do that a bit. Not a lot, but I took some classes on it. And I used to do that a little bit. It's fun. You build little electronic kits.
Well, in many ways, what I would like to build is custom boards over time that have like in this case, this might work also as like a little mini music player and maybe even streaming music player. That
bring back the iPod, man.
Right. So like, and just eventually, my goal is to sort of get good at building bespoke hardware.
Could 3D print your custom case. There's lots of, probably somebody made a bunch of ones you can mess with as a starter.
This is the one time where I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I mean, I could buy one, but it's actually easier to like get somebody else to buy to print it for me.
There's services you can just do it through the mail.
Yeah.
There might be somewhere in. You live in the city. There's probably a place in the city you can get. Ask Indy Hall. They probably know.
The Micron Center. Is it Micro Center?
Micro Center.
Yeah,
Micro
they have
Center.
like a Micro Center. Yeah, you can
They'll
do
actually
it there. Yeah.
Wow.
They have stations that look like. To be fair, I'm saying looks like that you can do it. Maybe
for some that
free.
size. For that size, like I'm sure you can find a place nearby to get it printed without even going to the mail order. Because that's really cool. I mean, I haven't done hardware stuff like that in a long time. That's really neat.
I think it's just a way to have a little more control of the experience.
Yeah.
And try to figure out like, oh, okay, like especially like take like one of the interesting things that I it's not so much a reaction to like anything specific to Apple, the web, or whatever. But at one point, I was like, I would like, maybe this is the game developer side of me talking, but I would like to have much more control of the UI experience and the overall experience.
Make a game controller out of bananas or something?
Well, no, that was another colleague where they made they had a board that actually connected to fruits, or it could really connect to anything. But then each piece of like orange peel was like a button.
Well,
that you could do, so you could do something stupid like that.
You're channeling your inner Johnny Ive. We're usually Scott Forstall people here with the software.
Yes, yeah.
But now we're going into expanding like the Johnny Ive territory.
But I kind of want to do sort of like skew. But the tough part about any sort of building any particular hardware platform per se is like understanding and respecting like what its capacity is and how to best express that. Excuse me, without getting too in the weeds of like designery talk. Like my hope is to get it to a point where I get good at just doing minimalesque but expressive UI. That is my goal for this year.
In a hardware platform.
Yeah. From a hardware platform with like little bespoke like, squeaks of like, hey, there's some UI here, boom, and it does its job and then gets out of your way.
Well, that's really cool.
When are you going to start writing assembly?
Who writes assembly? Just
who writes assembly? That's what you got C++ for.
No, people say that as like a reason why you don't need to learn how to program, and I'm like, people write assembly all the time. What are you talking about? They just they do. You don't.
Aaron,
I don't, but people do.
And we're going to be writing Swift. That it's Swift. All right, so.
Dude, I was actually thinking along the same lines for maybe exploring the kind of Alex Hillman personal assistant like wrapper around Claude Code or something. And I was like, and I started using T3 chat and talking to some other models, talking air quotes, to explore like this stuff. And I was like, can I use Swift to do the orchestration? Because they're like, JavaScript is really the Python and JavaScript are the core of the ecosystem. I was like, yeah, but I want to use Swift. I don't want to use. So you could use TypeScript. I don't want to use TypeScript. I want to use Swift. So I wonder if we could just make things extra hard and force us to pay for Opus.
You definitely can.
We definitely can make it with Swift. Make it extra hard.
You want to make it extra hard. Make it so that you don't have to pay.
Use Kotlin.
Use models that you don't have to pay for.
I am. Okay, so we didn't even talk about what our actual project is going to be. We're going to talk about that maybe next time because we don't know yet. But I am messing around with Bento Fit because I keep saying we're going to do an update and marketing.
I'm sorry, Steve. What is Bento Fit? It's been
Bento Fit. Bento Fit is the app released in September, which has died in the App Store because we haven't marketed it. But it is a simple dashboard for a bespoke set of health kit data to help you track your own personal fitness journey. It's very straightforward. It's just in and out. You can see the little graphs we make, a little information we surface to help you keep track of some fitness metrics, and then you can put it away. And we have plans to, at least I have plans. I don't know if you guys want to help me to expand it and add to it and stuff. Part of doing that, I was thinking of like, well, let's see how good these open source models are. Because I was using Open Code, right? And right now, especially, Open Code has free access to some models, and I don't care if it's used for training data, for like Bento Fit anyway. So yeah, there's a GLM, I think it's called 4.7. There's like Minmax 2.1 or something, and they're coming up as what?
Minimax.
Minimax? Okay, not Minmax. Yeah. Minimax. Well, both of those models I played with a little bit, and they seem like they're like Sonnet 4-ish level. Like they're pretty good. Especially the Minimax one for tools for like agentic stuff. So I don't know. I'm just probably playing around. Also, believe it or not, the Grok Code 1 or whatever the heck they call it is actually pretty good too. But they're not as good as like Opus 4.5 or whatever and Codex or GPT 5.2. But they're super cheap or free. So I was like, I'll probably play around with it, and we'll see how it works in Swift. I'm really curious about Swift because like. Again, a lot of people I see talking about this stuff are doing JavaScript, TypeScript mostly, and they've gotten a lot better at other languages. But even today, even with like the latest Codex or GPT 5.2 models, I haven't used Opus 4.5 really. The Swift code compiles more often than not now. Not always, but mostly. But it's not exactly what I want, But it does a much better job than like a year ago. So I wonder how well the open source models do. Like a year ago was like unusable for me. Honestly, it was almost unusable.
Yes.
Now it's like, oh, okay. If I want to explore UI concepts, it's great. If I as I said before, if I give it examples, it can kind of mostly reliably copy the example structures. But I actually personally like the code to be a certain way. And I think one of the important things to do is to set up a linter, which we don't have on Bento Fit, and then that'll help keep the LLMs on track.
Yeah, that's really, really important for these things.
So it's mostly like I think I'm going to use Bento Fit and update this as a way to explore all these agentic things on a code base that's really small that we can like rewrite if we had to. So I probably will. And then it's small, but it's an existing product that integrates. It has a little bit of complexity to it. Integrates with HealthKit, integrates with Revenue Cat. It's in the App Store, so it's production, and it means that I think we can do some interesting experimentation on this little code base and not lose our minds. And we will see, because that's the plan. And then hopefully next time we'll maybe have a more concrete idea about, by the end of the month, about whether if we want to do any other project, or maybe we'll just do Bento Fit update as the next thing we do for like a few months.
At least in terms of like until we figure things out in terms of like, because I think like we have our own individual paths and projects that we're working on.
We should try to combine them into one Voltron like project.
Right. So like figure out like, okay, where the Venn diagram of like things that like we can.
That's what I say. Like we could also just do something completely different for the podcast, and then the Bento Fit stuff, and just kind of check in once in a while and just talk about it.
It's like, just ask. What do you call that? What's the name of that AI, agentic AI guy that you named, or was it you that named it? Or Andrew or Andy? Or
Andy?
What was it? Was the name?
Well,
of
that's what Alex's personal assistant thing. He called it
personal
Andy.
Assistant. Does it
some
code
inside
too,
joke? Yeah, it codes too. Because it's Claude Code, you can do whatever.
Yeah, we can call it I don't know. What do you want to call it?
Oh, my personal assistant, Al or Ziggy.
Yeah.
I was thinking Al or Ziggy. I wanted something. I always want. So your hardware thing.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I thought, and I know we have to wrap this up, but I thought I wanted like a personal assistant type thing, kind of like what Alex is doing, but I wanted it called like either Ziggy or Al from Quantum Leap. And I wanted a handheld access to it. I wanted like my own little Ziggy pad. I always wanted that. So I feel like that would be really cool if I could use a Raspberry Pi thing and make my own little Ziggy interface to my own personal assistant type life manager Claude wrapper thing. And then and then that would be cool. I could just like bring it up like I want also this is very important. You have to build a feature so I can whack it on the side and it'll make that squealing sound and light up just like when Al was doing that all the time with Ziggy in the show.
The funny is like it does have like the only way to interface with this touchscreen at all is to press this button. You can only press this button like that. You can long press it and double press it. That's it. Okay. That's the key. So
perfect.
If you want to do like, and maybe overemphasize.
We
need to have a whatever the what is a doohickey that can sense getting whacked. Aaron, do you know what it's called?
The doohickey.
The doohickey.
No,
the part. I don't know.
I guess we just call it a doohickey, a gizmo.
Way back in the early days of the App Store, there was a Ziggy app that did that on your phone, and I used to play with that all the time. I'd be like whacking my phone, whack. Whatever the sound was.
Maybe we need to build a bigger case so that we can give some give there, and maybe some cushioning.
Look, man, I think it'd be cool to have a little handheld. I mean, obviously you can use your phone, but I mean, having a bespoke little piece of hardware with like a long battery life and all it does is just easy access to your life manager. That'd be cool.
Some people lament this idea, or even like when it comes to kids, they don't necessarily want their child to have access to a phone. Doesn't even matter. Right. Like exactly. So like what can you give them in place of that does the core mechanic, right? Yeah. So they can listen to their music and their playlist, but it doesn't need to be an iPhone, right? Like,
right. And you can have other features that are specific to you and your family. Exactly. And you can vibe code them with Opus 4.5 and Claude Code. We've come full circle into the hype zone. We're back in the hype zone.
Well, I think that is a good place to stop. I think I'll take over the outro here, Steve, so you don't have to destroy your voice.
It's so gone now after this.
I know. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you'll find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is, and share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. We are planning to come back. We have an event that is going to happen January 29th, and it will be in real life, IRL. More information to be available to you at phillycocoa.org. You'll find that information there or in our Slack group or the meetup, and maybe even another platform, but more will be revealed, hopefully by this time. So look forward to seeing us or meeting us on the 29th at the Vanguard building on 2300 Walnut Street, Chestnut Street. I'll update the info. Your info will be there.
Philadelphia, PA.
In Philadelphia, yes. PA.
United States of America.
Yes.
In case
Till
you
next
didn't know.
time. Yeah. Till next time. Good. I mean,
Huge international audience.
We do have the audience outside of Philadelphia. I mean, outside of United States.
That's
anyway,
true. It's true.
That's true. Anyway,
thank you for listening.
Till next time. Good luck on your own developer journey. We will cheer for you always.
Did it delete anybody's hard drive yet?